Hey guys, how's it going? This is Patrick with Stacking Layers. Today I'm going to do a video kind of going over basically my setup. I've got a few requests from you guys to show you what I'm running here and what kind of modifications I've done, because I'm sure you've noticed that I don't have an original printer, that I've done a lot of work on it. And of course I've done a couple videos on things that I've installed, so I just figured, why not? That's a good idea. I'll go do a rundown on what I'm running here. So as you can see, it's a BIQU printer. This is their old logo. So this is I got this a year ago. It's actually when I got into the whole 3D printing craze and got addicted. And so my printer, actually looking at the warranty card here, was made in 2020 is when it was shipped out from the factory. And I got it in January or February of 2021. So that's kind of an older setup. It was 2020 of November, it says on there, so it's not old from the factory, but anyways. So this is their older version. The newer ones, I'm not sure if they've updated logo, but I would assume so. But the newer ones also come with a different motherboard inside. This one came with the 1.4, SKR 1.4. The newer ones come with the SKR 2.0. So it's the upgraded version, which is nice because you get multiple controller fans. So you get 3 controller fans instead of 1, which this one originally came with. That being said, I have gone and upgraded before to the SKR2 board. So this is running the newest of their SKR boards that fit for this, the SKR version 2. So yeah, that's what's inside. I'm not going to open it up because there's really nothing interesting to see inside, just wires, right? But yeah, it's running the SKR2, and I am utilizing all 3 of the pulse wave controllable fans. So I have, of course, the part cooling fan on that. I have this side cooling fan, which is the heatsink cooling fan. I have that set on to only come on if the temperature is over 45 or 50 degrees. Because if it's idling, there's no reason for it to continuously go. I also have the side fan, which is one of the intake for the cooling fans, because the B1s are notoriously noisy. I think in part it's because of the positive pressure inside here. Actually, it isn't well calibrated for a closed case. So these fans tend to ramp up, because I thought it was the fans as just being cheap quality, but when I took them out of the thing to do testing, they were actually not that loud. It was not until I put them back in and I noticed that when it had a resistance, could be that this opening's not wide enough, or like I said, too much positive pressure in the case. And so they kind of ramp up and make a lot more noise. So they are noisy. That's why I have the machine off at the moment, just so I can do this video. Plus the power supply unit that's also inside back here has a fan. At least my version of it has a fan that's always on. It doesn't have a heat sensor inside, so the fan is on from when you turn it on. It's a larger fan. It's also noisy. So one of the drawbacks. So I'll work on that in the future. I have it in my spare room here, so it's not a bother. I start the print and leave. But anyways, I do have that on there, so it's not running all the time. It's only when I start moving something, when one of the drivers get activated, it's set to turn on. So that's one of my modifications I've done, is basically programmed in the firmware the different fans to come on at different times depending on what's going on. Next thing, which is pretty obvious, I got this setup here. This is a BIQU H2 direct drive, and it's mounted on the BIQU Hermit crab, which is a quick tool changer, which you can see I've done a video on that. I'll leave that in the description, and maybe if I can figure it out, do a little card pop-up thing so you can see that. It's on the Hermit crab is on the linear rail. This is not stock, so I did do that. Pretty easy install. Basically just got the little T-nuts inside that fit on the rail, and they're screwed in every so often. So pretty simple setup on that. Really easy to do. One thing I'll point out, don't buy cheap linear rails. I did that. I got the cheapest one I can find just because I just don't have the money to put into this anymore. And so, yeah, I bought the cheapest linear rail. It works, and I know there's tons of videos out there to get these to work even better, which I've gone and tried to follow, but I don't know if you could tell, but it does kind of stutter. It hasn't seemed to really affect my printing quality, luckily. All my lines come out nice and smooth, but let's see if the camera will pick up the sound. A little clicking sound, not the motor sound, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of you can hear the ball bearings in there like chattering around. So I've seen others that have high wind linear rail systems on there, and those things are smooth and quiet. So when I save up enough money, I will be changing that one out, because I don't like the... it's a little too noisy and rattly, so... It's solid. It doesn't wiggle at all, and like I said, it doesn't affect my print things, but it's got to do something, because there's little spots where it kind of gets stalled, like right there. I have to push a little bit harder. Luckily, the motor works, so I'll get there when I can. But if you're going to be purchasing new, spend the extra money. Get a high-win linear rail or some other quality linear rail. It's worth the money. It's you don't want to hassle with that. Another thing I changed, I guess I have to describe what's going on here. So with this setup, as you can see, it's got a full wire loom, so I had to rewire everything straight to the motherboard. The original BIQU Hotend comes with a cool setup where it's got a kind of a breakout board built into the Hotend, and it only has one cable that comes to it for the for everything. It's like a modified USB-C cable that plugs in, which is really clean, because all you have is that C cable and the Bowden tube, because it's not a direct drive originally. So doing that makes a really nice clean setup. But when I switched over to this with the tool switcher, I wasn't able to utilize that circuit board anymore, and so I went and rewired everything, removed the old extruder that sat over here, and of course, because it's in here, I don't need that extra weight on the back. I still have the filament runout sensor, but I have it turned off at the moment because I'm thinking about a different way of rerouting that. So yeah, I know I probably can run a Bowden tube straight to here, just still have that, but we'll see. So yeah, that's some of the upgrades, or that's these upgrades here. I had to install another switch because the original limit switch for X was built into that circuit board too. So this is my cheap way of doing that. I got a piece of tiny bracket that I use to kind of give me an isolation so I'm not grounded. I don't know if that would have been a problem or not, but I just put a piece of plastic there. I don't get any shorting out. Simple switch. Nothing too special about that. And then that's, of course, wired direct to the board. You might have noticed I have the magnetic PEI sheet. This is by Ultistik. And I can say the only reason I have this was because I won it. And I'm very pleased with the quality. It's thick. It's strong. It works like it should. Everything sticks to it. And then when it cools down, it pops right off. I almost never have to take it off to flex it, which... if I did, it does that. So it's a flexible sheet too. But after it cools, everything, I mean, there's no reason it just pops right off. So as long as you're patient, let it cool down, it does what it's supposed to. Pretty easy to use. But that being said, the original sheet that came with the BIQU B1 is also a magnetic spring steel sheet with this coating on it too. It's a little thinner, so that's one thing to think about. But otherwise, there's no reason to change that. As long as you calibrate everything, it works beautifully. I have never needed to put any glues or anything on this sheet or the original one. They work. So my main thing is keep the bed as clean as possible. I use this occasionally, which is basically like a Windex. That instead of using isopropyl alcohol, I just use that and clean it off and good to go. And then every so often, if I notice that things are getting maybe a little bit hard to stick, I'll just take this off, go down and wash it in the sink with some dish soap and warm water, and it works beautifully. Comes back and it's super sticky and everything sits. So yeah, if you're looking at upgrading a bed, maybe you're having problems with glass or some other odd build type, if you're going to go for a magnetic sheet, I can recommend them because I've been very pleased with this. It was a nice thing to win there. So yeah. So that's another upgrade, I guess. The Y-axis I've done nothing to. This is fully original belt after a year, original tensioner, everything. I almost never touch this. I've adjusted it once, and I've had this for, like I said, a year now, and that's it. I have never done anything to that. So I'm pretty pleased with that setup. The wheels underneath, the tensioners, the springs, all that stuff is all the same from original, so nothing special to show underneath there. As you can see, I got a camera. This is a Microsoft Studio camera, I think. It's actually a pretty old webcam that I had with my computer that I wasn't using. So plugged it in there. I got the webcam attached to a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, running Octoprint. And that's how I make my recordings of my time lapse and stuff, and basically control my printer when I'm not around. It's really nice. I got Octo Everywhere also installed on that, so I can remotely attached to that. So that's a nice feature to have. If you haven't explored the Octopi setup, getting a Raspberry Pi and plugging it in for your printers, I recommend it. It's really versatile. There's tons of plugins. You can do all sorts of things with it, and it's a kind of a plug and play system. It's a little tricky getting set up. You just got to follow the loads of tutorials that are out there, and it works really well once it's configured. So yeah, that's one of the grades. One of my first prints, actually, with the stock BIQU setup right out of the box. I did no modifications to the printer and printed these little guys, which work extremely well. That's been on there for pretty much the full year since I've had this, and so very good quality of printing right out of the box, I must say. The only reason I've done these upgrades were I've had prizes and some other things that were given to me and stuff, so that's why I was doing this. Honestly, I would have left the printer completely stock if I didn't have these in hand. So the upgrades are fun. It's definitely a great challenge, but yeah, it's not needed. I was really impressed with the print quality right out of the bat, as you can see with these things. In general, they are very clean. The screws worked right away. I did nothing but use the stock Cura profile that was recommended, and it worked. So yeah, everything else is just because the hobby is addictive and fun. Another upgrade that I did buy this one. I'm not gifted everything here, but this is the second Z axis added. BIQU has a actual set. Of course, you can make your own and do that stuff, but they sell a pre-made thing. Their newer printers come with pre-drilled holes and everything, so you can upgrade this stuff pretty easily. I have gone even further than just using the standard parallel Z on the motherboard. I went and added a second, or a fifth, I guess it would be, driver. So these are individually driven, so I can utilize the BL Touch, which I have over here, the BL Touch, so I can do auto alignment, so the Z alignment if it gets out of alignment, but it seems to hold very well as is. I have it set in my start G code for my prints to probe and check, but it normally gets past 1 or 2 and then it says that alignment achieved, so it doesn't even go through the full cycle, so it seems to hold really well. And that's relatively it. I can't think of anything else. I've made a custom knob. That's not really, it's not an upgrade, it's just because I wanted to try something. I did have the dual color extruder. I think I have it, yeah. I have it sitting right here. So I did have this installed, which is a 2-in-1. It's also a BIQU upgrade. I loved it. I would have left it on there, except for that I got this H2 dual extruder, or direct drive extruder. That's the only reason why I don't have this on here anymore. Otherwise, I would have left this on because I was really enjoying that. It printed well in both single and dual color. And as you can see, there's that circuit board I was talking about. So this is the B1 style. They call it hot mode. And so, boy, let's see if I can get it into the light here. Yeah, it's very difficult to see, but there's a USB-C down there. And then all the fans and Hotend and thermistor and everything plug into that guy down there. So it's really nice. Really clean setup, easy to use. And like I said, if you're looking for a dual color setup, the BIQU B1 with the B2 modification works great. It's a little finicky to get started, just to get used to that type of printing, but it works really good. Yeah, that's really all I've done. I guess it's a lot. It really is a lot, especially for beginners. But once you learn how to do firmware and stuff, which is a whole nother realm, of course, but getting firmware set up and doing all that works pretty much makes it so it's limitless what you can do with these things. It's just learning how to calibrate everything, and that's it. Once you get that down, you can do a lot of stuff with these printers. So yeah, what do you think? That's a little long video. I don't really have much more I can talk about this printer. I don't know, printed stuff. I have my spool over here on the side because it just, when you have heavy things running on here, it does impart a little bit of extra vibration, so it can go further down into your print. So minimize as much weight as you can off of the machine if you're having those type of issues. Make sure everything's squared up and all that good stuff, which this is. I've taken a square and I've tried to make everything as perfectly square as possible to the base not to the bed, not to your table. So basically, this should be square to whatever it's attached to. So your y-axis and your z and your x should all be square to each other. Your bed then gets what they call trammed or leveled, but trammed is the proper word where it gets adjusted to be on the exact same plane as the y and x axis. So yeah, just a little tip. One of the things, the biggest problems I see for beginners, of course, is how do you get your bed leveled. Level is kind of an odd word. It is the right word, but it's also a wrong word, depending on if you're thinking about machinery or not. But basically, planar level is what you want, where this surface is exactly parallel in both directions to this nozzle tip. And that's called trammed. Anyways, little side lesson. That's my printer. I will not make this video any much longer. So what do you guys think? Do you like this? Any questions? Do you want to see more? Let me know if you have any questions of why I did things, how I did things. I'll try to give you as best information as I possibly can. I'm still learning everything as I go, but I also have done kind of I don't know, obsessive studying session on these printers. I want to learn as much as possible because, like I said in the beginning, I am addicted to this hobby and I absolutely love it. So anyways, thank you for watching. Again, leave your comments down below. Let me know if you have any questions. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Thumbs down if you hate it. And let me know about that too in the comments. Just, yeah, drop those comments. Thank you for watching. Talk to you later.